I've had concern about the questions that come to me concerning, even though it's taken in the highway. But the question is, how is this going to affect, because the number of people even on the highway that come in there is going to affect and dilute the black votes, because there is not that many blacks along either one of these highways. The only one would be the Hopewell Highway to a point. But when you go to the canal, you stop at Williams Road, all in there is white. You go 231, all that is white. That's a problem, a great, great, big problem.
Well, this is not annexing any private property.
We understand that.
None of these people are coming in to the city at this point. All this is right away, so they would have to actually request the city to be brought in.
But when you look at the highway, who's on the main highway? It's not in black zone.
Well, this is mainly aimed at the businesses that want to come in.
And residential also, without explaining.
There are, I think, a couple.
There's going to be some more questions. Who are these masses? Because this will dilute the black vote, because there's very few that's along the highway that they want to come in. There's very few. And the other 80%, it's all white. That's
But the reason we're doing the highways that were selected is because they're state highways. And by the city annexing the right of way, they're not accepting responsibility for the maintenance for these roads. If we start trying to annex in local roads, then we're taking over for the county. And then the city is going to be looking at having to maintain roads that previously have been maintained by the county. So the purpose that we were limiting these to the state highways was to not increase the cost for the city to have any additional maintenance for these areas.
what about human beings? We're not dealing with the roads. We have roads and street now that we're not taking care of already in city limits. I'm having lots of problems in some of my district right now, as I sit here. We're talking about human beings voting for now and for the future. And these are questions that's been put to me, and I gotta have some answers. I need some answers to this because they're concerned about what it's going to do in the future.
All that would depend on who desires to be annexed in the city and what the city's decision is as far as future annexation. That's not something I can really address for you, Councilman.
Last question. And I know better than to ask a question you don't already know the answer to, but I am going to ask one I don't know the answer to. If this is annexed in and you have up 14 and you take in like Cherokee Estates, if they decide they want to come in, okay, and I don't know the racial makeup there, but if you take in another area that has a predominantly white voting base, do we have to go back to justice if it becomes out of whack completely to, or out of sync that it is, as Mr. Washington said, diluting the voting? Okay, let me back up. It could be very easy that someone would solicit an area to come in that is more predominantly white than minority or African American, either way you want to say it. And if that continues and that happens, what liability or what will happen if someone goes to Justice Department and causes us a problem?
Well, I think if you annex in and it changes just like we're doing right now with the redistricting, all that would have to be reapproved by justice. Right? That's my reading of how it works.
This, in my opinion, would simply be handled as any other annexation has been. What we want to do is get these tax bases, these businesses contiguous to the city limits, to a district so we can get them in. From the standpoint of a residential, it's going to be just like it always has been. You would be in the council district that's closest to where you come in. and the numbers would not change until the next census. That's the way I understand it.
Or if it was so diluted. Justice, one question now?
Yes.
If they
It could be
diluted
challenged.
District 2 and changed the makeup, they might say, something wrong, we might ought to look at this.
And that's what I was trying to say, if that would happen.
Well, that's my question, why I was asked also about this, same thing you're saying. You know, you keep talking about roads and business. Businesses operated by human beings. They're concerned about the human beings, even though it's going down the highway. Again, I say, there is not any, very, very few minorities along what you're trying to do. Yes, it's going to probably be relooked at from the Justice Department and some of the other organizations.
Let me ask a question. This long lasso attempt, is it affecting the corridor between here and the Tallapoosa River? That's already been annexed, is it not?
About 500 yards would come in.
There are parcels along 231 that did not annex. We are contiguous, but there are parcels. So by defining the entire parcel, you solve a police issue that we are in now. And so that was the reason for doing that, was more for police authority than anything else. We're contiguous, so there's not an issue there, but there is an issue with enforcing police powers, and that would resolve that.
Certainly, but that's for, I don't know, my simple thought process.
It's done.
It's done.
Yeah, so there's nothing to change there. Right.
So, of all of the roads that you just identified, what would be an estimate of what's already in the city now? 50%? 80% of that? 50%?
Jim's probably know better than I would. I
I'm
would
just
think
looking at where,
probably
where
50%.
yeah, where the boundary was.
231 is basically there. And like I say, the 231 issue is just to resolve some
Yes.
things.
Looking at it as a, just what could be the
Okay.
future impact. I understand the question,
Right.
but
Okay, we mentioned Cherokee. Cherokee could have a referendum and come into the city today because they're already contiguous on the back side. There was some discussion about that. There was a little bit of a movement when we first changed the PJ, but they never did follow through. But if the citizens wanted to have a referendum for Cherokee, and that's the main area there on Highway 9. So this, what we're doing now does not really change that because they already have that possibility. When you go out, when you go to Wallsboro,
we're already.
you're
on the way to
mainly,
school.
they've got most of the residential, you've just got, basically got the businesses, the commercials there. When you go to the canal, most of that is single property ownership that it someday might make a difference, but now. And then when you go to up 111, you get Martin Austin Estates, and we've got a pretty good percentage for that one, and that was one of the subdivisions that had indicated they were interested in having a referendum and coming into the city limits. And it would give them that ability to do so, which they don't have without this.
I don't know what to make of it, Crystal Creek. Crystal Creek is blacks and whites. The other one out there, Sandy Springs. Crystal Creek has had a lot of conversation about wanting to go. Plus, this would also, I think, open the door for getting some more volume into the sewage treatment plant, which is not us, but they need the volume and could help us with some adjustments in those sewer rates. But